Hello everyone, B.O.R.G Dexter here, and in this video I will review the DLC for the ALTERS called Last Variable. I will assume you have played the ALTERS already and will not go over the things from the original game, and will mostly discuss the new things in the DLC. Like I said, I have already done a review for the ALTERS, I've played it, and I love the game. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Okay, on to the DLC. You take on the role of the scientist alter of the original B.O.R.G scientist that remained behind when the original crew left. The scientist remained to study the Oasis, a strip of land that is lush and green, and somehow survives the planet's hot phases, when the planet's sun scorches everything else. The biggest difference is that, over time, you will terraform multiple sections of the planet, turning them from barren hellscapes to lush, almost jungle-like landscapes. You then head into those terraformed areas, pick up samples and analyze them back at the base. For various bonuses, such as increasing the connection range of pylons, upgrading your portable drills to be able to drill through rocks with roots on them, thereby enabling exploration of new areas, or increasing your pipeline efficiency and things like that. Some analysis are required to progress the story. As before, you will need to create new alters to help you in this endeavor. The difference being, in the DLC, you will create the scientist's alters with various areas of expertise, such as geology, biology, physics, and the like. So, you will create only scientific-oriented alter. As you terraform areas, collect and analyze samples, you will put forward numerous theses all displayed on your whiteboard. Aside from the theses, you will also be able to read various post-it notes of your alters, arguing on more trivial matters. I love the whiteboard, such a nice detail and gameplay mechanic. At some point, you will also need to pick an alter to staff a field lab, and he will remain there during the hot phase of the planet, observing for anything and everything that could provide clues as to why the terraformed regions can resist the destruction of the planet's sun during the hot phase. Also, you will never be able to get those alters back to the base for story reasons. Don't worry though, you can just reclone those same alters again, so no worries. I like how the game acknowledges this by giving you a trophy titled "Wait, you can do that?"
Hello there.
I was also annoyed at first, thinking that I would have to redo any side quests and character progression related to that alter. But the game handles this via dialogue options, basically redoing all of the progress you made up to that point with the alter via a simple button press. Great. As you put forward and shoot down your various theses with the new evidence, you will unlock new resource types, enabling new research options, and this is where the pipeline system comes in. Basically, you will need to use pipelines between various things such as extractors, placed on either rubidium or mineral deposits, phasers, which phases whatever goes through it, resulting in phased rubidium or phased minerals, for example, and doublers, which basically split whatever you put into it into two pipe veins, and then finally leading the pipelines back to the base entrance to be stored in the appropriate resource tank that you will have to build in your base first. Later, you will need to use mixers to combine various resource types into new ones. To further complicate things, phasers and doublers need to be built on limited geyser places. More than likely, this will result in a complete spaghetti mess of pipes that will have to be torn down and remade, especially if you play the game for the first time, not knowing about needing to mix resources later on and plan for multiple geyser placements in your future pipeline. I was at one point very frustrated as I found out that my pipeline system was fucked from the start and I had to redo it almost completely. That was fun. A word of advice on this: don't try to run a pipeline system that brings in more than two resources at the same time. It can be done, but it's not worth it, in my opinion. especially as there are ways to make certain pipeline resources from others in your base. So, you will extract two resources at the same time and create the third needed pipeline resource in your base outside of the pipeline system using one of the two resources you are already getting. Although I appreciated the devs putting new systems in the DLC, this pipeline system will inevitably cause some frustration unless you read a guide before even starting creating your pipeline. As far as your various alters go, each of them have vastly different personalities and, as always, come with their own problems and side quests. One of the gripes I had with the original game is your alters would sometimes act a bit childish and get mad too often, even in the face of death, like a day before moving your base out of reach of the deadly sun, resulting in your untimely demise. Now, this time around, my alters only got mad at me twice, and both times I improved their morale easily. Perhaps this is due to the fact that this time around, all of the alters are scientists and have a more rational outlook of the situation. Or maybe the devs just programmed them to be less whiny. The story is fairly simple. Your ultimate goal is to understand what causes the terrain to remain alive with a rich ecosystem, and why it is not burned by the planet's hot phase. That lasts for 13 years, by the way, forcing you and your crew to go into cryosleep, essentially freezing yourself temporarily, preventing aging during that time. As you present and shoot down various DCs, you will terraform the multiple planets' regions along the way. The ending has a nice twist, though nothing that could not be predicted, and the DLC has two endings, each represented by a different short cutscene at the end. Another cool feature of the DLC is watching the barren planet's surface turn to lush vegetation-rich areas. There are quite a few spots that make for some great viewpoints with great landscapes to be seen. Another thing I noticed is that there is a lot of idle downtime, much more so than in the original game, I think. This is true especially towards the end, as I had many automatic drills for resources and I was hitting my storage capacity often, sometimes forcing me to dump resources to make space for more important stuff. I sometimes went to the cryosleep chamber days before it was required, something unimaginable for the original game, as every second it seems counted there. Okay, I think I've rambled enough about the DLC, so I will summarize now. Okay, the DLC has a fairly okay story with an interesting, if maybe somewhat predictable twist at the end. The alters, though fewer in number this time around, are again different personalities with their issues and side quests and make for an interesting distraction. It's pretty cool to see the barren planet slowly being transformed into a planet teeming with vegetation. I must say that at certain times the graphics look kinda bad, especially water or waterfalls. I tried messing with the options and it did little to make the graphics look better. Pipeline system can be frustrating, especially for first-time players. It basically makes it impossible to plan for your future pipeline ahead, as when you are playing for the first time, you don't know what is waiting for you. Though I must say it looks kinda cool seeing the various resources flowing through the pipes. Overall, a fine addition to an already cool game. I give the DLC an 8 out of 10, a good DLC. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know down in the comments, did you play this DLC and what do you think of it? How does it compare to the original game? Until next time, see ya!